Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I'm laughing because I saved this book, The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. I saved the meditation to read till right now when I was filming this video because I read my other meditations this morning and I thought, well, I'll just read it on camera and then I'll just give my, response to it as I read it. And I started reading it and I thought it would be a really good one, and it was called Our Path. And I mean, it is a good meditation, but it's all about religion and 12-step programs and respecting someone's personal beliefs and things like that, which I think is a great topic, but it's really specific to 12-step programs. So if you're not in a 12-step program, you probably wouldn't relate to the meditation. So I got halfway through it, and I was like filming the video, and I got halfway through while I was reading it, and I go, yeah, this really isn't appropriate for this. I just started laughing. So I'm going to go back to yesterday's meditation, which is called Being Right, from February 18th, and I'm going to read that and just give you guys my response. Being right. Recovery is not about being right. It's about allowing ourselves to be who we are and accepting others as they are. Do you ever get like the giggles and then you just can't stop? I'm kind of almost there right now, and Boo Radley is down here and he's like, he's a talker, and he said, I want to be up in the video too, Daddy. You were just running around outside, weren't you? All right, so he's going to partake in the meditation. Being right. Recovery is not about being right. It's about allowing ourselves to be who we are and accepting others as they are. That concept can be difficult for many of us if we lived in systems that functioned on the right-wrong justice scale. The person who was right was okay. The person who was wrong was shamed. All value and worth may have depended on being right. To be wrong meant annihilation of self and self-esteem. Boo Radley. He's back there digging. All value and worth may have been dependent on being right. To be wrong meant annihilation of self and self-esteem. In recovery, we are learning how to strive for love in our relationships, not superiority. Yes, we may need to make decisions about people's behavior from time to time. If someone is hurting us, we need to stand up for ourselves. We have a responsibility to set boundaries and take care of ourselves, but we do not need to justify taking care of ourselves by condemning someone else. That is such a powerful, powerful sentence. I need to remember that. We have a responsibility to set boundaries and take care of ourselves, but we do not need to justify taking care of ourselves by condemning someone else. We can avoid the trap of focusing on others instead of ourselves. In recovery, we are learning that what we do needs to be right only for us. What others do is their business and needs to be right only for them. It's tempting to rest in the superiority of being right and in analyzing other people's motives and actions, but it's more rewarding to look deeper. This is a really good meditation for me. Today, I will remember that I don't have to hide behind being right. I don't have to justify what I want and need with saying something is right or is wrong. I can let myself be who I am. You know, that is such a powerful, powerful meditation. And throughout my entire sobriety, every sponsor I have had has said this statement to me. And there's a statement in recovery, and it's not an original statement, but I love it. And that is, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? And only when it got to a point, in my life where, well, on several points in my life where, my mental health or my peace of mind or my serenity was in question versus being right was that important to me. And whenever I say this in videos, there's always a couple people out there that are like, no, but being right is important sometimes. And that's a personal choice that you have to make. In the last year of my life, there have been many moments, right, where I knew I was right. And I wanted to fight the good fight. But to do that, okay, would mean that I would give up my peace of mind. It would mean that I would give up my serenity. And then it comes down to, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? And the reality is, I'd rather be happy. I'd rather have my peace of mind today. I'd rather have my serenity. I'd rather, know what I know is my truth and not have to fight a bunch of people about it. The other thing is this, is that when I get into situations in my life, for the last 40 years, okay? Whether it's fighting over a toy when we're kids, or somebody doing something mean to us in school, or, in a workplace environment, which that has happened to me quite a bit back in the day, where you want to tell on somebody, or you want to point them out for what they're doing wrong, typically to show how great you are, or to show, what you did right. You have to ask yourself this question, like it said in here. What is your motive for doing that? like, why do you have to prove that to anybody else? You know, if you know what is right, if you know what the truth is, why do you have to do that for anybody else? You know, and I think it's interesting. And that's why I love that in here what it says, but we do not need to justify taking care of ourselves by condemning someone else. We don't have to put somebody else down. We don't have to show them to the world. You know, it's like, have you ever seen somebody go through a breakup on Facebook and then they like immediately are just like telling you all the bad things about that person, and you're like, okay, but 2 days ago this was the love of your life, and now you hate and despise this person so much that you're, you know, putting this all over Facebook? Like, why? Like, why do you need to do that? I believe sometimes, and I don't always act this way, this is like I say, you know, like, I'm forever in that school, and it takes me, some classes, some grades take me longer than others, you know, but the point that I aim for is that I would always like to respond with grace in class. I don't always. I don't, you know. But the people around me in my life that, you know, my best friend is somebody that she does respond very well to situations with grace in class. And I see, you know, her handle situations, and you know, I just saw her the other day. I was like, she was kind of handling a business situation, and the way that she handled it, I just was like in awe. You know, it was just a telephone call, you know, and just was like the way that she handled the whole situation. I just was like, oh my God. And so, you know, I try to pick role models in my life today that handle situations like that, you know, that they handle situations with grace and class, and they're not about the fight, and they're not about who's right and who's wrong. I think often that when we have to fight about who is right and who is wrong in a situation, it says much more about us than it does about them. And it's not that important to me anymore. It just really, really isn't, you know? And I'm not talking about huge situations, okay? I mean, there are some situations out there that are important to fight about who's right and who's wrong and things like that. I guess I can't really think of any right now at the moment, you know? But it's like, have you ever had an argument with your partner and, you know, you're sitting there and it's like, you know, it's like, I've said this for years, like with Alex and I and with my exes before and stuff. There's always a point in an argument where you start having the argument, but then at some point it turns over and the argument starts having you, if that makes sense. And, you know, where you don't even really remember what the argument was about, and now it's about 6 different things. Like, that is one thing that, like, Alex and I let go of. We don't engage in that anymore. It's not healthy. It's not important. And then what it becomes is just a fight for who's right, you know? It's just not that important for me. I would rather get along. I'd rather have positive relationships in my life. And, you know, sometimes if the other person needs to feel like they're right in a situation, that's okay. And maybe they are. You know what? Maybe they are. There are many times in my life that I have fought because I believed I was right, only to look back on a situation and realize you weren't right at all in that situation, you know? You just were so in it at the moment that you couldn't see your part in it. You couldn't take responsibility because you were so engaged in the argument and in the fight that you couldn't really see what your part was in that, you know? So today, I'm trying to learn to step back from it, you know, and then later inventory the situation and go, okay, well, what was my part in this? Because it doesn't really matter what somebody else's part in a situation was. It doesn't really matter if they were right or wrong. At the end of the day, what really matters is what happened with me. What was my part in that? What do I need to improve, and what do I need to work on? So when I look at it that way, and I look at that at the end of the day, at the end of my life, this whole journey that I'm on is really just about educating me, then the fight for who is right and who is wrong is just rather pointless, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't really matter, because whether I'm right or they're wrong, and I think that this is what happens. Well, let me say this. Whether they're right or whether they're wrong has nothing to do about the lesson that I'm supposed to be learning at the moment. Absolutely nothing. But I think what happens is that we feel so entitled for vindication. I have felt that many times in my life, that I know I am right and I am going to prove it. It's never a good look on me. It is never a good look on me. And the aftermath of how I feel afterwards is just, I feel tired, I feel like an emotional roller coaster, and it's just not worth it to me. I don't want to go through that anymore, you know? And in situations where I feel like maybe I need to fight for what is right or wrong, maybe that's a situation that I don't need to open my mouth in at all. And that's something that I have learned lately, you know, is that I don't always have to have the conversation. I don't always have to have the discussion. You know, maybe it is in that moment okay for somebody else to feel that they're right. You know, it's just, because maybe I can't see it for what it really is in that moment. And I think that that's a learning experience for all of us. You know, I look back on many arguments in my life that I've had, with people, and, I think back on that now, and it's like, I can see, I have a part in all of that. I have a part in all of that, right? And how I behaved, and how I acted, and how I perpetuated the argument, and the need to be right or the need to be wrong. So, what do you have at the end of the day? Bragging rights? How important is that to you? How important is bragging rights to you? Like, I was right. Well, all right. How happy are you? And that's the question I have to ask myself. It's just not that important to me today. It just really isn't. I'd rather be happy, I'd rather have peace of mind, and I'd rather have serenity in my life. And I think that, at first, this was not an easy concept for me. Trust me, it's taken me 24 years to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I get it. Peace and serenity are way more important to me. It's more important for me to be happy. Because I have had moments in my life where I have talked to my sponsor many times, many sponsors in the last, 24 years, where I've called them up and they'll say, well, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm right in this situation, and I think maybe it's important for me to show that I'm right. But I think that emotional development and emotional maturity shows that it's not always, it's like playing a game with your kid, Are you going to fight for being, like, the winner, Or are you going to let them win sometimes? I think emotional maturity is allowing your child to win. Are we teaching them that that's, okay? Or are we allowing our child to feel good about themselves? It's kind of similar to that. It's not always important for me to be right today. And I really have to have the conversation with myself before I have the conversation with somebody else. And, like I say, I'm learning. I'm constantly learning and being tested and, on this journey that I call life of trying to be a better version of myself every day that I possibly can be. And, so anyway, I think it's a great meditation. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I love when people say, it's so funny that you do this video at the exact moment that I needed it. I wouldn't say that today is the exact moment that I needed this meditation, but I will say that it is definitely something that I needed to be reminded of, that like when I am in the moment of feeling very peaceful and feeling very serene and calm, and there's there's a saying in recovery, well, it's from the basic text, but that says you will cease fighting anyone and anything. And my friend recently said to me, my best friend, she said, I feel like you've gotten there. And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, for years I've watched you struggle, but I feel like you've gotten to that point where you have ceased fighting anyone and anything. And it's a very peaceful moment. And it's just not worth it for me anymore. It just really isn't. So, I have no need to be right about things. Not today. Now, I don't know about tomorrow, and I don't know about yesterday. Like I said, I'm a work in progress. But, and I hope that if I fall down and I make that mistake where I'm like fighting tooth and nail because I think I'm right, I hope I can sit back today, and look at my toolbox of tools and my sponsor and my friends and my husband and the people around me and say, okay, why is it so important for me to be right in this moment, And to inventory of that and look at that and maybe shut my mouth before I engage in something that I don't want to engage in. Because peace of mind is way too important to me today. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the meditation. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.